Okay, thank you everybody for coming. Welcome back. I want to say thank you to the sponsors. We have a Lilu Nishmat, you said?
Eliyahu
Ben Mazal. Okay, this week we know it's Parashat Bamidbar. We're starting a new Sefer. We're approaching the holiday of Shavuot, which the highlight is the Torah. We're accepting the Torah at Har Sinai. In this week's Parashat Bamidbar, the Leviim are redeemed for the firstborns, meaning that originally, at the times of creation, all the Bechorim, all the firstborn children were supposed to be the ones who do the Avodah in the Beit HaMikdash. They were supposed to be the ones that serve in the Mishkan. They're going to give all the korbanot. Back then, that's how it used to be. But after the Egel HaZahav, like Benny said, what happened? Hashem commanded Moshe to exchange the firstborns for the Leviim. And this redemption was done in this week's Parsha. It's spoken about here. The Zera Shimshon brings down a midrash. It says that at the beginning of creation, Adam HaRishon, we know, was the firstborn of the world. So he was the one that used to bring all the sacrifices, Adam HaRishon. After Adam HaRishon, he gave over his garments of kehuna, the priestly clothing. He gave it to his son, Shet. Shet passed it down to Noah, to Metushelach. Metushelach gave it to Noach. Noach gave it to Shem. Now, who is the firstborn out of Noach's three sons? Anyone knows? Does anyone even know who Noach's three sons, what their names were?
Shem, Ham, Yafet.
Yes, Shem, Ham, and Yafet. Yafet was the firstborn. Shem was not the firstborn. So how did Shem become the Kohen? How did Shem get the ability to give the korbanot to the Beit HaMikdash, the sacrifice? The answer is because he was the most prominent. Because who came out of Shem? Abraham, Yitzchak, Yakov, and the whole lineage of the Jewish people. So this is how the Midrash starts to bring down this concept of the Bechorim, the firstborns. From the beginning of creation, used to, do the sacrifices. But the question is, we know, when did it really start? When did the holiness of the firstborns begin? So it says in Parashat and Shemot, it says, Kili kol bechor b'vnei Yisrael. Hashem said, every firstborn child is mine. When did he say this? During which Makkah? Makat Bechorot. During Makat Bechorot, the 10th plague, Hashem said, all the firstborns, I saved them. Because I saved them, I'm going to give them extra Kedusha. I'm going to give them holiness, and they belong to me. So we know the holiness of the firstborn started by Yetziat Mitzrayim, when the Jews left Egypt. Not the times of creation. So what is it? The times of creation or Yetziat Mitzrayim? When did the firstborns attain special Kedusha? So to introduce the answer, he brings down another midrash. There was a conversation between HaKadosh Baruch Hu Hashem, and Paro. This is how it went. Hashem told Paro, says, you're enslaving my children. They're not only my children, but they're my firstborn child. Hashem says, you know what happens to someone that works a firstborn ox? What's the punishment if you take a firstborn ox and you make it plow? What's the punishment? What does the guy get? What is it? Let's say you work the ox. You get lashes. You get whipped. If you work the firstborn ox, you get whipped. Shem tells Paro, you know what's going to happen to you? You didn't work a firstborn ox. You worked my firstborn child, my Jewish nation. Because of that, I'm going to smite you with how many makot? 10 makot. And we even know, I just thought about this right now. On the Haggadah, what do we say? It's really 40. 40, 50, so 40 makot. Just thought about that. But Hashem says, I'm going to give it to you. Why? Because you worked my firstborn children. Paro says back like this. Paro says, no. The Jewish people, they're the firstborns. But firstborns are not special. Who here is a firstborn? You're not special. You know why? Says Paro, you know why you guys are not special? Because there's a midrash back in Bereshit. It says, why does Esav come out first? We know Yakov and Esav are twins. Who's older? Esav is older. Esav was older. Why did Esav come out first? Yakov is the Jewish nation. Why Esav's Bechor?
First one no good.
First one's no good. Why is the first one no good? Because when the first one comes out, he takes himself out and he takes out all the filth of the mother. He basically cleans out the way for the rest of the children. So it's like a bath attendant. He goes, he hoses down the whole bathhouse, And then afterwards he showers the kings, the princes. So the firstborn just makes way for the next child. So Esav was the mop for Yaakov Avinu to come out. So Paro says, the Jewish nation is not special. They're the firstborns. If anything, the second child's always better, right, Daniel? Second child's better? Always. So the second child is better. So he said, Paro says, they're not special. Why are you going to hit me? Why are you going to punish me? So this was the conversation between Hashem and Paro. So now we have to understand, is being a Bechor something special? Or is it something degrading? Yes.
So if God was speaking to Pharaoh, right? And
Yeah.
telling him everything. Paro, I'm sorry. Why would Pharaoh not realize that the Jews are the chosen people if God was speaking to him? And why did he not stop whatever he was doing? He made his heart hard.
Exactly. He made his heart hard.
Blinded him.
If someone already gets punished 2 or 3 times, a lot of people are dying, your whole nation is going down, usually you're going to send out the Jews. But what does it say after every Makkah? He hardened his heart. He wanted to punish Paro as much as he could. Because Paro deserved it, the whole Mitzrayim deserved it. So like we just said, the question is being a firstborn special? Or is it bad?
Here we see that it's bad.
So really, in the beginning of the times, Adam Rishon, Chava, being the firstborn was the top. You're the firstborn, you are special than everyone around you, than all the other children. Who ruined it? Chava. Chava took the fruit and she ate it. When she ate the fruit and did the sin with the Etz Hadat, the Nachash, the serpent, infused her with Zuhama. It's a spiritual impurity and a filth that he infused into her for all the future generations. Every child that's going to be born after is going to have this impurity called Zuhama. Zuhama was in every single child all the way till Mitzrayim. In Mitzrayim, during slavery, when the Jews were going through suffering, they were being cleaned out from this impurity. And eventually, it was fully eradicated during the times of Har Sinai. When we stood in front of Har Sinai, Hashem cleaned us out. You know, it says, any person that was sick became healed. Any person that was impure was pure. This is it. Hashem fully cleaned us by Har Sinai. And we say, the Zera Berach says, what was the whole reason the Jewish people went to Mitzrayim? What was the reason the Jews had to suffer for so long? It's because a person goes through suffering in this world. Why does a person go through suffering? To be cleaned out from his impurities, to be cleaned out from his sins. So Chava, when she ate the fruit, she put an impurity into all the children of the world. So now when there's the firstborn, he absorbs all this impurity from the mom. He's the first one to absorb all the Zuhama. So being the firstborn became really bad now. During the times in between Adam and Chava and Yetziat Mitzrayim, being the firstborn was not good. Because you got all the impurity into yourself. The second, third, fourth child, they were more clean. That's why Yakov had to be born second. Because in that times, we still had Zuhama. We still had this impurity. Yitzchak also, yes. And Esav, who cleaned out the way for Yaakov? Esav got all the impurity into him. So now the firstborns were no longer special. So who used to bring the korbanot in every generation? Not before Levi. It would be, yes, who would be the Kohen? The person who worked on his character. The person who worked on his Avodat Hashem. Person who worked to come closer to God. Who did that? Shet did that. Shem ben Noach did that. Because of that, even though they were not the firstborns, they reached levels that they cleaned out the impurity within them, and they were able to serve God on a higher level than everyone else. So now we understand that the Jewish people, Hashem was telling Paro, they're not bad, because you enslaved them in Mitzrayim. You cleaned them out of their impurities, and therefore not only are they my children, but they're my firstborn children. And you hit my firstborn children, I'm going to hit you back. And Hashem took the Jewish nation during the time of Makah Bechorot, and He sanctified them, and He took the Bechorim of the Jewish nation, and He made them even more special. It's called the princes among the princes. He made the firstborns even more special because they were part of the firstborn nation. You understand? So if you're a Bechor now, it's extremely special. You have the ability to serve in the Beit HaMikdash back then. Now, how did Paro knew all this? Daniel, you're saying Paro knew this, but how did he not stop it? Paro thought he could outsmart God. You know how he did it? Listen to this master plan. You know what a voodoo doll is? What do you do to a voodoo doll?
You like hit it and it's dressed up as somebody, you know?
As somebody, and
every time you hurt it, then the person feels it.
exactly. So Paro did this type of sorcery. Listen, he took his own Bechor, he took his own firstborns of Mitzrayim, and he locked them down. He chained them, not only in this world, but in the black magic world, in the spiritual realms. He chained down the Bechors of Mitzrayim, the firstborns of Mitzrayim. And by doing so, he was able to control the firstborn nation, Klal Yisrael. So it's like a little bit of a voodoo doll. He's controlling his firstborns, and he's locking down the firstborns of the Jewish people. So what did Hashem do? Why was the 10th plague Makah Bechorot? What does that have to do with anything? Because this was the key to unlock the Jewish people from their bonds. They were stuck in Mitzrayim because there was a voodoo doll. They were being controlled by Mitzrayim because their firstborns were alive. Their firstborns were what was locking them inside Egypt. So when Hashem goes and He destroyed their firstborns and He destroyed their sorcery that night during Chatzot HaLayla, He really released the Jewish people from their bonds and He gave them Kedusha and holiness. And says the Zera Shimshon that He took their sorcery and He played against them. Hashem took what they thought they were powerful and He proved to the world that night, on the night of Makah Bechorot, and Od Milvado. There's no one but Hashem, Afilu Kshafim. You think you know sorcery, you think you know black magic, Hashem is above everything. Hashem was able to destroy the plans of Paro. Paro thought he could outsmart God. That's what he said. Hava nitchak malo. Let's outsmart the Jewish people. Let's outsmart Hashem. He thought, he could play around the system, but at the end of the day, who saved us? Hashem saved us. And He showed His might on that day, the day of Makah Bechorot. V'nitkayem b'hem pasuk, v'zeh shamar katuv ki li kol bechor. So when we asked, where did the Kedusha of the firstborn start? Did it start from the beginning of creation, or did it start by Yetziat Mitzrayim? What's the answer? It renewed itself in Yetziat Mitzrayim. Because originally, we were low. Originally, we were impure. But Hashem took us out of the bonds of Mitzrayim, and He released us and gave us an extra Kedusha. And He said, Hitkashti otam li hayta avodah bechorot. And it would come out that the Bechorah, the firstborn children, are the ones now, they got this holiness like a Kohen. That night they became Kohanim. They were able to do the service in Avodah, in the Beit HaMikdash. They were able to serve Hashem, bring korbanot, everything. So now that we just came out that the Bechor will do the Avodah, we have a very big question. Wasn't Levi always supposed to be the one that's going to serve Hashem? Where do we know this from? Where do we know that Levi was the one? What? No, where do we know that Levi was originally always supposed to be the one to serve in the Beit HaMikdash? Because, that's one. But one is, the beginning is Yakov. Yakov gave Meiser. Everyone knows you got to give 10% of your money. 10% of your money. Yaakov Avinu gave 10% of his children as well. He had 10 children at that point. He gave one of them, which was Levi. He said, you're going to be to Hashem. And he's going to be serving Hashem in the Beit HaMikdash. So that's one proof Levi was always going to serve. Number two, Ani chalkecha v'nachalatecha. Hashem says, Levi, you're going to be, I'm going to be your portion. Did Levi have a portion in Israel? Nothing. Where is their portion? With God. Their portion is with Hashem. And even Mitzrayim knew that, like you said. They didn't touch Levi. They knew that's it. This is Hashem's people. We cannot touch them. And number three, very interesting midrash. When Levi was born, he was taken to Hashem. By which malach? Malach Gabriel. Gabriel came, picked up the baby, and he brought him to Hashem. And he said, here you go, Hashem. Hashem said, I'm going to give you 24 matnot kehuna. 24 priestly gifts. And he named him Levi. Anyone knows why it's called Levaya? Why is the Levaya called Levaya? You're escorting. So Hashem says, I'm going to escort you with 24 gifts of kehuna, priestly gifts. So his name became Levi. Levaya Levi. That's where the name Levi comes from. Escorting him with the gifts of Kehuna. The Kohen gifts, priest gifts. So now we have three proofs that Levi was always going to be the one serving in the Beit HaMikdash. So how could it be that Hashem just made the Bechor, if not for their sin, like Benny said, if they were not going to sin by the golden calf, they would have served. Is that true? Levi was going to serve. Who is it, Bechor or Levi? So listen to this, Chidush. It says, Levi was going to be the one who was serving, 100%. But the Bechor would also be able to serve. So let's say you're a Bechor. You would be able to go to the Mishkan. You don't have to wait for the Kohen. You don't have to wait online. You could do your own shechita. Wow. You could do your sprinkling of the blood, carrying, burning. Everything could have been done. No. This was even those times. The Bechor was going to be, it's called special pass. You know, easy pass? You don't have to be waiting for the Kohen. You could do your own, b'makom she'en Kohen, yamod Bechor. That's how it was going to be. When there's no Kohen, who would come up? Bechor would come up. He would be basically the substitute. So Bechor would have these special privileges. But when he did the Chet HaEgel, when the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, what did they do? The Bechor lost his special privilege. This is the first explanation. The second explanation is that really the firstborns were going to be the ones who were going to serve in the desert. They were going to have the privilege of serving in the Midbar. They would be the ones who were going to serve, and then later on when the Jewish people would enter Israel, then Levi would take over. But because they sinned by the golden calf, they lost out even that moment, and they already had to start the shift from Bechor to Levi after Har Sinai. Once they sinned, that's it. They lost their privilege of ever doing avodah in the Mishkan. They lost it legamri. Why? Because by Har Sinai they did the Egel HaZahav.
Old people, not only
everybody, but also Bechor. So because of that, they lost their privilege. And because of that, you know, people make mistakes. People say, oh, I could have been doing this. But you did the golden calf by Har Sinai, you lost the special privilege of serving Hashem in His temple. Now we're coming to Shavuot, which is the month, which is the holiday of accepting the Torah, which is, we have to reenact ourselves like we're back on Har Sinai, like we're talking about. The question is, we say in the Haggadah, Ilu hotziyanu mimitzrayim, you know that song Dayenu? One of the things is Ilu karavlanu leHar Sinai. If you would have brought us to Har Sinai, but lo natan lanu et Torah Dayenu, but you did not give us the Torah, it would have been enough for us. Did you hear what I just said? We would have came to Har Sinai, but Hashem didn't give us the Torah. It would have been enough for us. Remember that time when we were kids, we went to Adventureland, Chol Moed? We come to the park, we drive to the park, we prepared blinchki, cucumbers we cut up, everything. We get there, the place closed. I think it rained the previous day, I don't know, something, it was closed. We come to the park, closed. We're going to have to leave, that's it, the day is already ruined. We were preparing, it's already, by the time we left the house, it's like 11 o'clock, we got there 12, find parking. We come, the place is closed. What are you going to say? You're going to come to Har Sinai. You're going to come to Har Sinai, but no Torah. Did we come to that park and say Dayenu? Oh, it's enough. We came to the park. What are we going to say? We said we're the Yakubovs. We are. Open the park up. Yeah. So we didn't say it was enough for us. Oh, it's enough. We came to the park, but it's closed. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We're going to go. We're going to go all the way to Har Sinai, but not get the Torah? It's going to be enough? Is it really enough? Doesn't make sense. So what's the hidden meaning behind this? So the Sha'arei Midot gives a mashal, gives a parable. There was a country guy, those weird guys that live in upstate by themselves in those houses next to nobody?
Rednecks.
Yeah, the rednecks. They wear baggy clothes. So one of these guys comes to the city and he sees this suit store. He moved to the city and he sees this beautiful suit store. He wants to get a suit from there. They custom, they tailor it nicely. He goes to the suit store and you just go inside to try in. You want to always feel like you want to buy it. You know that store that you keep going into, you want to buy that thing and you try it on 5,000 times? Yeah. So this is this guy. He wanted to buy the suit. So he wanted to already check the size. I'm just going to check the size for my shoe. I want to buy it in the future. So he wants to buy this suit in the future, He goes to the store owner and he says, "Could you give me my size?" He gives it to him. He goes inside the changing room, and you hear him yelling from the changing room, "This thing doesn't fit. My arm can't even go inside it." He walks outside, and on top of his clothes, he's trying to put the suit on. The store owner is looking at him. He's like, "You fool! You have to take off the clothes that are on you, and then put on the suit. It's a fitted suit. It's going to fit you perfectly. If you're not going to take off your clothes, it's not going to fit." So the same thing with Har Sinai, the same thing with our Torah. We needed to accept the Torah. The Torah is perfect. We came to Har Sinai to achieve the perfection. When we reached Har Sinai, we got this level of achdut, tzniut, midot. Right? It says, Ki ish echad belev echad. When we came to Har Sinai, we became one. We became united. We were all together. So just coming to Har Sinai already put us into very high spiritual levels. And that's why it would have been enough to just go to Har Sinai. Because we're going to come to Har Sinai even if we didn't get the Torah. But we attained a very high spiritual level of unity between us. But I know Daniel's giving me the face like, "Bro, but you still came to Adventureland and the place is still locked. You didn't get the Torah. What is this?" So says the Ben Ish Chai, okay. Ben Ish Chai says, "You're right. What's the answer? The answer is, we would have got the Torah. But you know what type of Torah? A bland Torah. We would have got Shulchan Aruch, Halachot, Averot. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Here are the 248 positives, 365 negatives. This is how you live your life. You do good, you do mitzvot, you're going to get rewarded, have a great life. Olam hazeh, olam haba. You do averot, you're going to go to Gehenim, you're going to suffer in this world and the next world. But that's it. That's all we would have got. Hashem did us a favor. He brought us to Har Sinai. He would have given us a law book. It's called a law book. But He didn't give us just a law book. He gave us the whole entire perfect Torah. In our Torah, we don't just have this halacha, that halacha. What do we have? We have the depthness of the Gemara. We have mashalim, stories, the history of the Jewish people, what we learn out, midot, every section of the Torah. You go to the Sfarim store, you can find the book and anything, right? There's a topic, and every part of Torah every topic of Torah is covered. Torah covers every topic. Hashem gave us such a vast knowledge of everything. Chidushim. We could discuss Torah back and forth. Especially when Rabbi Avraham speaks, everyone likes to, attack him, say, "No, this is right, that's wrong." Arguing this, that. That's what the Torah is made for. Hashem gave us the Torah. Gemara is always going back and forth. Question, answer, proof, disproof, argument. What's that for? It's to bring us closer to Hashem, give us the joy in the Torah. And there's a beautiful mashal I also saw in the Ben Ish Chai brought down. There was a guy, he owned this really big field. Half of it was trees, the other half was crops, wheat, vegetables, and he had canals. And he had these furrows going along the field. You know what a furrow is? Furrow is like those tunnels? Those like a little ditch. But it's a canal. It goes through the whole field, and it brings the water from the river, the story was in the Euphrates River, and it brings it throughout the whole field. And like that was their irrigation system. That's how they used to get water to all parts of the field. Make sense? Okay. This guy, every single year, he would have to clean out these furrows because they used to get clogged up. Branches, the sand from the river, everything used to get clogged up in there, and he would have to go and work really hard to clean up the whole thing. And it took time, a long time. Now this guy, he had a bunch of kids, and he was on his deathbed. He was dying. And he was sitting on his deathbed, and his kids were gathered around him. And he was mamash at the last dying moment. And he told his kids in a very low tone of voice, he said, "There's a treasure buried in the furrow, in the irrigation systems." And the kids are like, where? And he just fell asleep. They're waking him up. And he gets up and he tries to use his last breath. And he says, "In the furrow, in the irrigation system, at this part of the..." Bam, he dies. And he was not able to finish the last sentence. And that's it, he passed away. All the kids said Shiva. And after the 7 days, they're like, "We gotta find this treasure. We gotta find where it's hidden. We couldn't find, we're gonna just go dig. We're gonna start digging everywhere." So they start digging in one part of the field, in one of the furrows. nothing. Another part, nothing. They go through the whole entire field, digging every single tunnel, every single canal, zero. They did not find it. They said, wow, Abba's making fun of us. He just wants us, going around digging stuff. There is never treasure here. And they just give the field to some tenant. What are those guys called? Sharecropper guys. They give it to one of the guys, and he takes care of the field, plants it, and they see that year, the fruits were amazing. The crop was gifted. Everyone around them, all the other fields, they did 10 times better than everyone else. And they're confused. They're saying, wow, we did so good this year. What was the secret? They go and see everyone else's fields, all their canal systems were ruined. They were too lazy to clean it out, and everything was clogged up, and the canals were not cleaned. But they saw, because their father told them that there's a treasure hidden somewhere in the furrows, they went and they cleaned up everything. They were digging all the canals, and they cleaned up all the branches. And their father was smart. He said there's treasure hidden down there. But there was no treasure hidden down there. The treasure lied in the effort of the cleaning. In the effort of the digging was what got them the treasure. And every single year after that, they said, we're going to clean up like we did that first year. That's how we're going to work every single year. And that's the treasure that our Father wanted to give us. He wanted to give us a field that produces not only once. You find the treasure, guy who wins the lottery, uses the $1 million in 2 seconds, that's it, it's lost. He gave us a treasure that's going to last forever. It's not an enjoyment of 1 second. It's an ongoing enjoyment that we're going to be able to have benefit from forever. The same thing is with the Torah. The Torah Hashem gave us, He didn't just give us, okay, here, this is what you do. No. He gave us a Torah that we should work for. A Torah that we can learn. We can make chidushim. We can discuss it. There's arguments, back and forths. Depthness of the Torah. How do we just learn? We learned the kshufim, black magic of Mitzrayim, tying down Egyptians. You ever know this stuff? The Bechorim were tied down like the voodoo doll. They were controlling Bnei Israel. So much deepness in our Torah. Hashem gave it to us. Why? He gave it to us so we can enjoy the effort in the Torah. When we work in the Torah, it's the real joy in life. And that's what the holiday of Shavuot is for. We're coming to Shavuot to accept the Torah, coming to Har Sinai again. We're coming not only, to get the halachot, do this, do that. Of course that's important. But we're coming to serve Hashem better. We're coming because we want to learn Hashem's Torah. We want to open up the deepness of the Torah. We want to work on our midot. We want to help Hashem and we want to help ourselves in every single way serving God. And B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to come into Shavuot with a new way of understanding. We are accepting the perfect Holy Torah. And B'ezrat Hashem, Hashem shall give it to us this Shavuot in its entirety. Baruch Adonai La'olam. Amen v'amen.